in honor of St. Patrick's Day, I wanted to create these Irish cream macarons. I am starting out by making a really basic French meringue macaron shell recipe. I colored my batter with a taupe colorant, which is a really nice grayish kind of a color, and I wanted to have a really neutral backdrop so I could add some gold sprinkles to make it look really fun, but also keep it that like more neutral kind of cream color. Though of course, if you want to do something green for St. Patrick's Day or keep it white or brown or whatever it is, you have so many options here. So I don't really celebrate St. Patrick's Day in any way, shape, or form, but I do really love making anything relating to holidays food-wise. I just think it's so much fun. And of all the holidays to partially or half-heartedly celebrate, I mean, I'm like a quarter Irish, so celebrating an Irish holiday makes sense to me. So anyway, I am making these Irish cream macarons. My initial thought was to just have them Irish cream flavored, but if you want to have them Irish cream coffee flavored or Irish cream and go in a different kind of cocktail direction, add some other kinds of liqueurs or alcohol into that. There are a lot of ways to adapt this recipe, so I hope you can use this recipe as a base and starting off point and then transform it into all different kinds of St. Patrick's Day or Irish cream macarons that might particularly suit you and your kitchen and the style of bake you want. Because I think that this base recipe is a buttercream and a milk jam, and they're so great. They're really delicious, but at the same time, they're really great like blank canvases in a lot of ways to build on this flavor. So for the milk jam, as you can see, I got this really delightful Irish cream. I'm adding that cream, milk, and sugar into a saucepan, and I'm just going to make a pretty basic milk jam with this. So I'm starting off on a medium high heat, whisking it just enough to make sure the sugar is really well incorporated, and I want to bring this up to a boil. Once it comes up to a boil, I'm going to reduce it to a simmer and stir it occasionally until it completely thickens. And this is going to take a while, okay? It takes a long time and the quantity reduces quite a lot. I'm still making a decent amount here, but at the same time, you will like so much of the liquid evaporates, the sugars are all going to caramelize. This is going to cook down quite a lot. So even if it seems like this is so much, you do want to start off with way more than you think you need because of how much it cooks down. If you want to make an Irish cream coffee milk jam, this would be a great time to replace some of the cream or milk with espresso, or even just add some instant espresso powder into this. Or if you want to go in a different Irish cream cocktail recipe version, again, this is a really easy recipe to swap in another alcohol for some of the other liquid in here, or even stir through a bit of alcohol if you want to keep the flavor a bit stronger at the very end of the recipe. Once it's really nice and thick, transfer it into a new container, cover the surface on contact with plastic wrap, and get it into the refrigerator to cool completely. So for the buttercream, we're making an ermine style Irish cream brown sugar vanilla buttercream, and it's so good. Honestly, even just this buttercream alone is really lovely. It has a light but still really lovely flavor between the Irish cream and, again, using completely brown sugar for this recipe and then vanilla bean paste. It's so good. So I have the flour in my saucepan. I've heat treated that first. I'm stirring through the brown sugar. Then I'm going to go in and add in the liquids, the Irish cream and the vanilla, all of that. And then I will keep this cooking on the heat until it completely thickens up and looks like a pastry cream or custard. Now, I decided at the very end of making this recipe that I couldn't help myself. I wanted a little bit of coffee flavor. So I did end up adding some instant espresso powder mixed with the tiniest little bit of water at the very end of making my buttercream, just to give it that little hint of additional coffee flavor. However, if I were going to make this one more time, I think adding in some espresso in this liquid portion right here, which is why I'm mentioning it now. I think adding that in now would be ideal, or adding in instant espresso powder again right here along with the vanilla would make that flavor addition a bit more seamless and easier. I would personally recommend that, especially if you want to have that coffee flavor in this macaron. If you want to add in any other flavors, extracts, liquids, this again is a really great time to be adding those things in. As you can see here, it begins looking really just like a liquid, and as you cook this on a medium low heat, whisking it continuously, you'll start to see it thicken up. It will start to look syrupy, and then it will thicken even further. You'll see tracks as you move your whisk throughout the mixture. It is going to continue thickening up. You might see some bubbles popping up there. That is great. At this point, we'll know it's thick enough. It's that reach that custardy pastry cream-like consistency. We'll pull it off the heat and let it cool down after that. After the Irish cream mixture has thickened, let it cool down either at room temperature, in an ice bath in the refrigerator, until it's just above room temperature. At that point, get all of your room temperature butter into the bowl of your mixer and whip that up until it basically looks like a buttercream in and of itself. This is important. We want that butter to be really light and fluffy before we start incorporating that mostly cooled down Irish cream mixture. It's just going to make the buttercream forming process really smooth and easy to do. If your butter is just like chunky or not whipped up, or if the Irish cream mixture is too hot or too cold, all of those variables will just make this process a little bit longer, a little bit trickier. So it's not the end of the world. This is a pretty forgiving buttercream, but just keep that in mind. I like to add my Irish cream mixture in about 3 additions, whipping after each, making sure to get in there, scraping down the sides and bottom of my bowl, and then I'll let it whip up for several minutes before I finally switch over to a paddle attachment and let it mix on low speed. Now, I always recommend you do a taste test, and for me, when I did a taste test and paired this with a little bit of my Irish cream milk jam, I realized, wait a second, I want this to have some coffee flavor. So I added in the instant espresso powder mixed with a tiny bit of water so it could be as concentrated as possible. And then I was truly satisfied with this flavor and the flavor pairing between the buttercream and the milk jam. Once you're happy with your buttercream flavor, get it into a piping bag with whatever piping tip you want to use and pipe a ring of it around your macarons. Of course, if you only want to use this buttercream and nothing else, that's perfectly fine. If you want to use a different secondary filling, a ganache, a piece of cake, cookie dough, I don't know, the sky's the limit here. Go for that as well. Once that primary filling is down, I'm going in with my secondary filling, the milk jam, and just piping it into that hole at the center of my macarons. For this secondary filling, because I'm not looking for a really clean edge or anything, I'm not using a piping tip. I just cut a hole off of the end of my piping bag. The difference between the textures of the buttercream and the milk jam is so fun. The intensity of the flavor is so nice. It's just such a fun macaron, and especially for this season, I think it is really great. However, Irish cream is something that's not necessarily, it doesn't have to be a St. Patrick's Day thing. And again, if you have this kind of more neutral color palette for your macarons, if you're not doing like a vibrant green, you really could keep this flavor around different times of the year, pull it out for other special occasions, whatever you want. And as I've mentioned so many times, I think both of these recipes, the Irish cream buttercream and the milk jam, are both excellent blank canvas style recipes that you can really build upon depending on the different kinds of flavors you would like for your Irish cream macarons. I really hope you like this recipe and tutorial. Thank you so much for being here. I could not do what I do without all of you being here and all of your support. I appreciate everyone who watches, shares, likes all of my content, everyone who's subscribed and following along. Thank you so much for being here. Until the next recipe and tutorial, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. See you next time. Bye.